Man, that feels like the 100th trip to the shed. Reorganizing all of the gear this weekend after having recently gotten back from a multi-day backpacking trip up in Wyoming with the guys. It was phenomenal. But I don't know if you guys feel that way. It seems like every time I go on a trip, I do a multi-day or even just a day hike, I get back and like the whole area is just a mess and I have to reorganize everything. This is usually the common, what the bench looks like. And I'm always trying to like organize and get, stuff in the right place. And then it just ends up looking like that. But as I was gone on that trip, a package arrived and sometimes I just get stuff and, I didn't even know that this EDC kind of focused fixed blade, we could definitely say everyday carry fixed blade, from Benchmade was coming out, and I've had a chance to carry it and use it and really put it through its paces. The Benchmade Dacian, I believe is how I'm saying that, Dacian. And this is truly like laid out to be an everyday carry fixed blade to potentially replace a folder or to run in tandem with like a multi-tool, something like that. And that's really why I feel like Benchmade came out with this design, because us in the knifedom have really, I believe, the market, you're seeing it. More and more companies are coming out with these really compact, like 3 to 3.5 inch fixed blades that are designed potentially for pocket carry, definitely to be used in an urban environment or around your property. They're not really focused on bushcraft and things, because there are plenty of those type of tools too. I mean, like this AK 3.5. I mean, this is a great little compact blade, but it's definitely more outdoor focused, a lot beefier tool. This Dacian absolutely screams like replace your pocket knife with this tool. So we're going to unpack what the capabilities are, some of the really unique features that I really like in the design, and a few catastrophic issues that I'm also seeing that I'm just like, how did this get approval and get allowed to leave the factory? It just blows my mind and really in some ways hamstrings the overall design. We're going to unpack all of it today, so that ultimately I hope that you guys will have a better understanding of the tool and just these blades in general, like concepts of compact fixed blades and what to look for, and whether or not particularly the Dacian is up your alley or it's better to move on and look at something else. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Aaron. This is Gideonstactical. Thanks for hanging with me. Let's go ahead and begin with the blade itself. Now, the blade is 3.54 inches, like from the handle scale. Cutting edge is about 3.25. It has a very aggressive, as you can see there, just spear point. And that spear point, definitely designed for piercing. And you will either gravitate to it or you won't. Because I know that there are definitely some people who prefer, a blade with a lot more belly, a classic drop point. So leave a comment kind of if you had a choice for everyday carry, which one do you think you would carry more? More of a drop point or of this really aggressive spear point? And the tool looks like it's a Barracuda. I mean, and like designed to just pierce through the water. And it feels like it's doing that when you're going through material. And I really appreciated that because of the 1/8 inch stock on it, that high saber grind that transitions basically into a full flat about 1/3 of the way down the blade means that precision is the name of the game with the blade geometry, the blade edge. It is a wicked tool for those type of environments, which in my mind is the preference if we're talking about an everyday carry fixed blade. You want it to be slim, you want it to be quick, and you want it to basically mimic what your folder can perform in and cut with, but you don't have this joint to worry about and locking mechanisms and things like that. And you get the extra durability of having it be fixed. That if we're talking about purely everyday carry, and you're going to carry it every day versus like beefy kind of overbuilt stuff. So the blade performance for that is excellent. The blade tip is very precise, great for precision, not durability. Straight on piercing, no problem, pierce really well, but I'm not gonna be doing any sort of lateral stuff. That'll snap it right off. So if you want a more durable tip, not the tool for you. Now, we got to address the steel that they chose, but before we do that, I do want to invite you guys to like and subscribe. That little thing's popping up right there. If you're not yet a subscriber, putting up videos like this every week, breaking down gear and equipment for you guys. And I do want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor who helps make videos like this possible, which is Hardside Hydration and their Swig Rig systems. And having just gotten back from a multi-day backpacking trip in Wyoming, the Swig Rig system continues to show its value and worth as an essential piece of kit. Now, if you're not familiar with the Swig Rig system, they give you all the convenience of a water bladder with that hands-free hose. giving you quick access to your water, but they attach and adapt to your favorite rigid water bottle. In this case, my 48-ounce Nalgene has quick releases, lockout valves, and it allows you to now carry your water on the exterior of the bag, giving it more durability, easier to refill, and log where your water is, and also a lot easier to clean than those cumbersome water bladders that you may be familiar with. And the founders of this company, Dane and Dustin, have really gotten this concept dialed in that really gives a solution to a problem that many of us have had on trail for years, so much so that the majority of the guys on our recent backpacking trip were using hardside hydration systems and have dumped their cumbersome water bladders. So I'll have a link to hardside hydration popping up right here in the corner, as well as in the description box below. And in the description box, I will also be including my 10% off promo code just to help you guys save a little extra scratch when you're trying to update your gear and equipment. And I encourage you, if you are wanting to streamline your systems and you just don't really enjoy those water bladders, check out Hardside. You won't be disappointed. So the steel they went with is MagnaCut. Yes, of course, like not a shocker by any means that Benchmade would choose MagnaCut. Everyone wants it right now. And there is a reason for that. The grain structure is very fine, which translates to meaning that you're gonna get like toughness and wear resistance of like CPM 4V steel, which is pretty intense. And then you're gonna get stain resistance and rust resistance that you would normally see on like 20 CV. So you're getting this really good balance when properly heat treated and done everything right, that it's hard to find from other companies, or sorry, not other companies, other steels that are out there. And having used it on probably a dozen blades now, I definitely personally see the difference compared to like S35VN or like some of the other steels that are out there. Now, the one thing that I always kind of like with Benchmade currently in their MagnaCut is they're doing 60 to 62 on the Rockwell scale, which is definitely in the wheelhouse of what's recommended, but MagnaCut can go much higher, and we see that with some other companies. I think of like the Ursus Cub by White River. That knife is MagnaCut as well, very similar size, and they're doing 62 to 64 on the Rockwell scale. So they're bringing up in hardness for a small blade like this. That makes sense because we get longer edge retention, better wear resistance at higher. It may not be quite as tough. Like a knife like this, here's an 8-inch Architect 8 in MagnaCut. Yeah, 60-62 Rockwell, totally makes sense. Absolutely, give us that extra toughness. But on a little blade like this, I'd rather have higher Rockwell, better wear resistance. That's me, that's my mileage. Leave a comment below, let me know what you guys think in those comparisons. Now, we have to transition to the elephant in the room that as soon as I saw this, because again, I didn't even know that this was a tool until it showed up at my door. I was like, oh, package from Benchmade. Okay, what's this thing? And I look at it and I started researching it. And if you go over to like the Facebook groups and some of the other forums for Benchmade, immediately you started seeing people complaining about this sheath. And now having used it, I totally understand why. I don't know what happened here. In theory, they did a good, this could have been a great sheath with some tweaks, but it's like watching like an Olympic, pole vaulter. Running up, you think they're about to make it, and then they just like eat it. That's what kind of happened here with the sheath, in my opinion. We have a polymer sheath. Now, the positive thing, check this out, is that what often happens with EDC fixed blades is that the sheath, especially if it's Kydex or plastic, it's ginormous and takes up a lot of real estate. They made it almost in line with the blade, so it does not take up anywhere near the amount of profile as a lot of other sheaths out there. So that's a big win. They did do that really well. They did put a little loop right there that you could do it as a neck knife. They have a drainage hole. That's all excellent. And then they have this really well-designed pocket clip or belt clip right here that you can remove if you're going to wear it as a neck knife. But this works perfectly as like a pocket carry. So I really appreciate that. Again, going to the fact that they are trying to, offer this as an alternative to carrying a pocket knife. So it fits perfectly in your pocket that way, or you can swap it, put it on your belt, and it's ambidextrous. A lot of these, sometimes are not ambidextrous. You can easily just swap and rotate the blade because the tension is all around the bronze bolts that are on the handle. That's where all the tension goes. Now, mine was super sticky when I first got it. It was kind of a bear to get in and out, but after like a day of just like click, 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 it finally started kind of loosen up and not too difficult. Now, I don't know if you can hear, This is the first thing. This thing is clanky. Out of all of my compact fixed blades, I did a video with I think 20 of them recently. I'll have that popping up if you want to go check out other ones. That I ran down a bunch of them. This is the loudest sheath in an EDC fixed blade I own. It just slaps like crazy, and depending on the type of shorts or pants you wear, if it's form-fitting, it doesn't click too much. It's like every other step, you'll hear a, like every step. And you could maybe shove something down in there for the tip. It's the tip smacking back and forth. But it can be noisy depending on the type of pants you're wearing, in tandem with the fact that they did not include any sort of thumb ramps whatsoever. So you just kind of have to like squeeze and push, and it's an awkward, you can hear how cheap and chintzy it sounds. It's a very awkward deployment. You can get used to it, and with the right amount of tension, like working, it's doable to deploy, but just a simple little tiny thumb ramp of some kind on either side would have made the deployment a lot easier and just a more smooth transition. It's not, let me put it this way, it's my least favorite to deploy out of my pocket and out of the sheath, and it's the loudest sheath in this size range I own out of at least 20 different models. So that is disappointing, and you can see that in the forums that everybody's like, you basically need to replace the sheath if you're gonna buy this. Now, as we go along, finally, before we hit some competitive options with the handle, now this is like a blue with copper, blue micarta. You can also get like a brown, and that has a Cerakote blue on it, which is not necessary with MagnaCut, but it's there if you want it. And I really like the color. Like the blue jean color looks awesome. The copper accents look great with a little Torx screw. There's a little like A cutout on the other side. And then the back side is a lanyard hole, but also is an Allen head. So if you want to remove the scales, that's how you do that. So it's really beautiful. I mean, it is a very excellent, elegant piece just in the way it's designed, and the ergonomics surprisingly are really good. My handle, or my hand, doesn't want to come off the back end there. Sorry, my screen blacked out on me there. The guard is really nice and deep with that jimping all the way along, so you can easily manipulate the tool. Feels very comfortable. Never was a hot spot in that regard. And even when I was doing like some carving and different push cuts, it definitely fit the bill. Now, it's a slim handle. It is 0.39, so basically 0.4, less than half an inch thick on the handle. So it feels like a pocket knife. So if you like the idea, which again, I'm going in concept that you probably would, versus some big ole, where's my thing here, beefy monster, this AK 3.5, look at the handle versus look at the handle. I mean, it's like night and day difference. Way more ergonomic for like long bushcrafting experiences, but this is gonna be a lot slimmer, lighter. The whole package with the sheath is like 4.1. The knife itself is under 4 ounces. So it's a very lightweight package, and then they have canoed the handles as well, kind of giving us this divot in here. And I wasn't quite sure about that, but as I gripped it, it kind of cups your fingers and just gives you a good lock-in. So even in reverse grip, I mean, you can aggressively feel the blade, and you're not gonna accidentally like slide up on it. So for again, not the outdoors. It would not be my first choice for like a multi-day bushcrafting experience, not taking this knife. Carrying it every day at my property or around town, absolutely. So that's kind of where it sits. Now, as we wrap it up here, you might be like, okay, well, how much is Benchmade charging for this tool? Probably astronomical. I was shocked that this version is $270 for this model, which is not outrageous if the sheath was decent. That actually is a sub 300 is shockingly within the ballpark of a lot of options that are out there in MagnaCut currently. So I will have a link in the description box below, not only over to this, but Dacian, but a lot of the other blades I'm running in here, and just some other competitive options if you want to check that out. And I'll have it popping up here to some of the affiliate networks. And I do, you know, as I told you, I mean, I didn't even know this was coming. Benchmade just sent it to me. Appreciate them. Send it to me so I can show you what I like. And what's a total like dud part of the tool. Looking at 2 different MagnaCut blades here, options. This is the TJ CONFIDANTE, TJ SCHWARZ. And this blade is going to be about $295, so even more expensive than Benchmade, which is like shocking. He makes these in-house here in the US. These are customizable, and they will have a higher Rockwell in the MagnaCut. You can get it in lots of different versions, but that is just a variant. And I do have a 10% off promo code, so if you're interested in that one, I'll have that below. But, I mean, you can just see there. I mean, that's crazy that Benchmade is actually coming in somewhat reasonable. Now, I think the one that's actually giving this Benchmade probably one of the biggest runs for its money is the MagnaCut version of the Buck Alpha series, the 664. This is an S35 VN version, but they do have a MagnaCut version with a Kydex sheath and like a Blade Tech lock. That's $250. But they're doing 62, 64 is what I saw on the Rockwell scale as well. And ultimately for me, guys, I think that the design, Benchmade actually did like a really good job with. It really just comes down to the faulty sheath and kind of a swing and a miss, you know, on that sheath portion, which is definitely a major part of any fixed blade, but particularly an EDC fixed blade. So it's going to, you know, bring up costs and do some issues with that. So I haven't decided if I'm going to get a custom sheath for this blade or not, but the blade itself definitely focused on that everyday carry scenario and definitely checks a lot of the boxes that I personally look for when I carry a tool like that. But leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think about this design in general and the idea of carrying a compact fixed blade. Appreciate you guys hanging with me today. Check out the other video popping up and subscribe if you haven't. Until next time, always remember to stay equipped, stay prepared. I'll see you out there.